Listen, anytime, any place, anywhere, I'll fight you in your back garden. Like a dumb Klitschko, I'll beat you, you bum. You're a bum.
I want to unify. Is he up for the challenge? Like I said, I declare war. You know, this is not a battle, this is war because I was born to this.
Why am I sitting here like a spare dick away? While you are sitting in your mum's spare rooms, just tickling your bollocks.
Come to see me, baby. No more hiding, no more ducking, no more dodging, no more excuses. Let's make the fight happen. Let's see who's the best. I know I'm the best. Are you up for the test?
I'm through. Hey, put somebody else up and give me an interview. What are you talking about? You never give me a fair shake. HBO needs to fire you. You don't know shit about boxing. You ain't shit. You're not shit. I wish I was 50 years younger and I'd kick your ass.
Negative. I'm good. I beat Polly. I left with his belt and his girl.
Fucking was too fast. But it wasn't so much about, it was just that he was so fucking fast. Fast.
Amazingly fast.
Fucking amazingly fast. I was like, I thought Freddie was in there fucking hitting me too. So.
Any of you radio personalities think you want smoke? Call me Mr. Chimney. I want smoke.
Yes. What is up, MCR family? It's a free edition of Boxing Banter, one of our Patreon shows, live on YouTube, obviously podcast from iTunes, Spotify, radio, etc. Hit the like button, share the show, subscribe. I am Matt, the Hipster Hunter, obviously joined today, as usual, on these shows with the illustrious, the one and only Mr. Robbie Hearns. Rob, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing very good. Always nice to get good news.
Some good news, yes. We do have some breaking news for the channel, guys. While we do have the website, we did announce that we're in the process of developing. That's not officially up yet. We have actually other breaking news to announce. Yes. So good. So much work has been put into this channel, Rob. Years and years of dedication. It's finally monetized. Yes, finally monetized. So hopefully that means that will offset some of the costs of the channel, because this channel does cost a lot. Going to events costs a lot. All that stuff. Like, it's all an expense that we don't make a lot of income in. So finally, the channel is monetized on YouTube. So hit the like button, share the show, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And on top of that, Rob, we have Super Chats. So you see that little money symbol right there next to the chat while you guys are in the live chat? That's the Super Chat. Hit that. Donate live while you guys are listening to the show. Do it. But digressing, of course, instead of plugging our show, we have a lot to talk about, Rob. We have Triple G fighting some guy from Canada. Cool. We have Oscar Valdez fighting on a card no one cared about. I think maybe like 5 people watched. Awesome. And we obviously have some heavyweight topics to get to. AJ, Ruiz, location. Debate is still, I would say, going out. It's still ravaging out there in the boxing Twitter sphere. On top of that, it seems like there is some difference of opinion even within the AJ team about where the location should be. On top of that, it seems like Bob Arum has come out and said Wilder, Tyson Fury is not only the second fight deal, but a trilogy deal. Yeah, so we have multiple Wilder Fury fights, it seems, on the docket that are signed in some fashion, and plus other sort of tidbits of the boxing world to get to. But like I said, Rob, so much to get to today. Where do you want to start? Because it's banter, by the way. For those that don't know, boxing banter is usually more laid back than our usual shows. Like, usually we don't have the list of topics we run through. We do have that for this show, obviously, because part of it is free. And quickly, shout out to Coach Mitty, one of our great friends, man. Saying super chat and pound for Robbie. Good hustle, guys. Good hustle. Thank you. I'll make sure Rob gets that $10. Maybe don't worry about it. Or actually, for US, it would be like $15.99, $17.99. Digressing though. Rob,
that works out. If we do it in dollars, we get like $7.50 each. whereas it's only 9 in pounds. See?
Ooh, there we go. Thank you, Mitty. You're welcome.
Oh, yeah.
But obviously, we have the Triple G fight. We have the Oscar Valdez card. We have these fights we should talk about. We do have at least one, I would say, slightly funny topic to get to with Oscar De La Hoya going out there and getting a little spicy. And then Dan getting out there getting extra spicy. God, I loved it, man. Extra barbecue sauce on that one. But
obviously.
obviously. But so much to get to, Rob. Where do you want to start?
Yeah, let's get these fights out of the way, and then we'll hit the topics. Then we can, break them up or whatever and do it that way.
Let's talk about Triple G versus Steve Rolls and the DAZN card, which obviously was the marquee boxing event of the weekend. Triple G knocking out Steve Rolls in really decent fashion in terms of the knockout punch itself in the fourth round. Set up beautifully, switching up to southpaw position, mid combination, landed that power hand left hook. Rolls went down in a really, what's the best way to describe it? Like a funny fashion. Like it was comical in a way, and that's what I think led to the knockout looking better. Like it was like a good knockout because of the aesthetics of it. But largely, I would say Triple G didn't look good in this fight, even though it lasted only 4 rounds and he got a good knockout. He was getting touched up. I thought he looked older. I thought his reflexes looked a little bit slower. And I think he looked like a 37-year-old boxer that happens to be an elite, talented boxer still. Like the only difference is that I have not seen the switch up in his game that, let's say, like Manny Pacquiao has done in sort of his career renaissance, where we see a difference in how Pacquiao fights in the last 2 or 3 fights compared to 2008, 2009, 2010. Triple G is fighting the same. You go back to William Monroe, Curtis Stevens, Gabriel Rosado, Daniel Jacobs. You look at all those fights, Triple G is fighting exactly the same, and that, I think, is a massive issue. But Rob, before we delve more into this fight and maybe my criticism of it, shout out to Fighter IQ, a.k.a. Ron, the mastermind in the chat. Shout out to you, Ron. By the way, Ron, call me back sometime later, because I missed your call the other day, so call me back sometime, man. But Rob, your thoughts, obviously, on the Triple G Steve Rolls main event?
Yeah, I'm not quite so critical as you. I think Triple G does get hit. He does eat shots. Look, don't get me wrong. I'm not standing here saying, so come on, the rematch. I mean, the trilogy, Triple G's going to do it. He looked good. But yes, it was Steve Rolls. We didn't know much about him, but he looked decent enough. The first time I've really seen him, he looked all right. Stood there. Should he maybe have stood there and try to trade off with one of the most notoriously heavy hitters in the game,
and like heavy chin in the game, right? Like the guy has titanium in there, man.
I mean, there was one that rocked Triple G's head back, but at no point did I think, oh, I just thought, Triple G just ate another shot. It's fine, And at some point, he was going to get to him. I mean, that over the top sort of downward left hook, he just instantly struck like the sort of top of the temple, like the top sort of side of his head. The leg wobble. I thought, oh no, he's gone. This is going to be it. And Triple G went for a very big left hand, and it missed. And I thought, oh, maybe he's going to, get out of it. Oh no, he just landed it. And face first. Never good when they go front, face down. They say, what was it? If you can look up, you can get up, kind of thing. But and he's come out. He's called. He said, I want. Everyone knows what they want. You tell him. Let's get it on the fight with Canelo, the trilogy. But no, I'm not quite so critical as you. Yes, he maybe looked a little older. Maybe it was a little bit of rust. He obviously hasn't fought out, hadn't had a fight since September. So
could be that, obviously.
So obviously we're waiting.
And on top of that, like you said, like Steve Rolls is a complete unknown commodity. Like we had no idea what to expect from him coming into this.
Yeah.
Like obviously I'm going to be slightly more critical of Triple G in this performance because
it's you.
No, it's me and I'm a hater. But on top of that, you know me, like I like Canelo. Like I'm a fan of Canelo's style, like his boxing ability. I thought he beat Triple G respectively in both fights. I know that's a crazy thing, but that's just what I think. Um, everyone's entitled to opinions, even if they're maybe bad opinions.
Are you off? Have you been smoking something?
Whoa,
Whoa,
Eddie, calm down.
you play it twice there? What happened?
I don't know what happened there? It just that's how bad he thought of your. That was one for the first fight, and the other one was for the rematch. Part two.
Stay off the weed.
Relax there, Eddie. Okay. But digress from that. I think Triple G again. I think his reliance on his chin, while obviously is still holding up and still a path of victory in a lot of fights in the middleweight division. Let's be honest. Triple G can walk through a lot of guys in this 160-pound division. Right? Like I think he could probably walk through even to this day. Jamal Charlo, Demetrius Andrade. Did you smile at to this day? Was that, okay? I saw the snicker. I was like, what was that too?
Yeah, every time I hear it, it's in all interviews as well now, and they say it just as they normally speak. And I think someone is going to pop up and to this day.
You know what's amazing is that I've seen like the GIF all over the place online. Like not even when it's about boxing, like totally different things. When someone says till this day, someone will reply with that GIF, and it's amazing. Excuse me. But I think digressing to my point, which I'm trying to remember what it was.
Through.
Triple G can probably walk through a lot of these guys still. He can. At this point, there's a small window when he can still do that. But that window is closing rapidly. When at some point, that chin will not be there anymore, guys. Like, you can be the toughest, best guy, but at some point, it's no longer your day in the sun. And for Triple G, I think that time is rapidly approaching. If a guy like Steve Rolls can stay in the pocket and exchange for periods of time, that's a bad sign when you're a 37-year-old Triple G. Now, can he fix up his game, dial it back, be more methodical, work behind the jab a lot more, and win off points and be a more defensively sounded boxer? I think so. I think we've known him to have that ability. Yes, I still think he loses some of the top guys, but I still think he beats a lot of the top guys and extends his career to maybe 3 to 5 years more with that style. I have not seen that style yet. I've not seen what Manny Pacquiao did to extend his career out. And that is a troubling sign to me. Maybe not in this fight individually, maybe in the Canelo fight in September or a Jamal Charlo fight in the next 12 months or whatever fight it could be. Maybe it's not the biggest issue, but 2 years on the line, it will be a big issue. When he fights another guy for the next time, or he fights Jamal Charlo for the second time, or Billy Joe Saunders, Demetrius Andrade, whoever it may be that has some power that makes him pay. And I don't want to see a old Triple G looking like a Brandon Rios, who just never figured out how to adapt his style to the game. Because old fighters have to fight differently, guys. They have to. If they don't, they end up looking like Jesus Soto Carras or Brandon Rios. They end up looking like some of those guys. And that's my only concern with Triple G.
Yeah, I mean, I get you. You mentioned Billy Joe Saunders. I don't think he's going to be hurting Triple G anytime soon, other than his movement. And it's not going to be like power shots that are going to trouble Triple G. So, look, Steve Rolls, he was brought in.
Very quickly, he's talked about moving up to 168. That would be troubling. Imagine Callum Smith going up against Triple G at 37, 38, 39 years old. I don't want to see that if Triple G is still walking into shots that way.
Yeah, no, I totally get your point. I think he's got this crazy chin. He doesn't. People are saying he got rocked by Steve Rolls. I don't see that at all. I don't see the point where he got rocked. He maybe didn't win the round, but I don't think he rocked him in any way or hurt him. But yeah, I guess it can only get you so far if you're just literally lumbering around the ring trying to tag these younger fighters and just not able to get there. But that's on him. That's his decision. That's between him and I guess Jonathan Banks now. But Steve Rolls was designed and made as much as it was shit on, and I think the clip of the knockout has gone not Wilder Brazil viral, but it's done in the millions, and it's purely to get the hype behind the trilogy. It's that's kind of what it was. If Hassan and Dan would have stepped up for it, I think we'd have seen the same thing. But in that regard, Callum Smith got the highlight knockout of Hassan and Dan. He got that fight instead. So in came Steve Rolls and sort of fulfilled his duties in a way. He put up a reasonable display. I think it's made people say, "Oh, Steve Rolls, yeah, he ain't bad. He was all right," because like I say, he tagged Triple G a little bit, but I don't think at any point he was gonna really trouble Triple G. And yeah, he just eventually closed in on him, got him on those ropes, and landed the shot. And yeah, it's got the whole place talking about Canelo Triple G 3. So job done. The Zone will be happy.
Yeah, I feel like it's pretty obvious that's the fight that's next, right? I mean, beside the point that Oscar wants to make, which is a good segue to go to Oscar on Twitter.
Posturing.
I gotta admit, Oscar, he's a really bad promoter, right? Like, we've all come to that conclusion that he's not a good promoter. But what he is really good at, and possibly the king at on Twitter, is pettiness.
Yeah,
he's up there. He is up there, man. Like, I can't think of as many people that are at his stature on Twitter that are constantly petty. Like, Oscar's never not petty. He's never nice. He's never sincere. It's always pettiness. It's always a backhanded compliment constantly. And I love that about Oscar on Twitter.
There's an agenda with a tweet.
Absolutely. Every fucking time. And he has to...
like, Wilder, come back. I can make you a multi-millionaire. Just come up,
Guys, great. Oscar saying, nice comeback win with a thumbs up emoji. Now fight a real fighter, win a belt. I'll consider doing the third fight. Hashtag Canelo is your boss. And then Dan, oh gosh, shout out to Dan Rayfield, man. Because he wanted to, double down on the spiciness and pettiness from Oscar here. And he goes, maybe Triple G should fight Oscar De La Hoya and knock him out? Question mark. And I gotta say, Oscar definitely seems like he was trying to angle for a fight in that tweet. Right? Like, it definitely was, like, really personal. Like, I'll consider doing the third fight instead of saying, like, never mind. But digressing, I just love the pettiness between Oscar and Dan here. Wanted to make note of it. And shout out to, obviously, the king of petty, which is maybe Oscar De La Hoya.
Yeah, like I say, I think it's a bit of posturing, sort of just adding to the evening, adding the spiciness to the third fight. Interesting will be where, obviously, the talks will begin. Apparently, there's no front runner at the moment. I think, was it Eric Gomez as told? I can't remember who he told, but there's no particular front runner at the moment, but they're going to be sitting down this week to discuss Canelo's next opponent. I think we're pretty sure. The way Triple G has been saying fight week that if he wins, he's 99% sure it's the Canelo fight next. So that's kind of an indication. There must have been talks of it. Like I say, DAZN probably, Triple G, come and get this money. But by the way, September, you are fighting Canelo. Canelo, if you want to live up to that massive deal that you signed, by the way, September, you're fighting Triple G. So I think it's kind of going to happen. It'll be interesting where it lands up because Triple G's fairly adamant that it's not going to be Vegas. I believe New York, Madison Square Garden, and maybe Dallas Cowboys Stadium is in consideration. But will it probably end up at the T-Mobile again? I don't know. Probably. Who knows? But yeah, we'll see. But yeah, there you go. That's the beginnings of the however many months we've got of all this. I'm sure Oscar will be back with another one fairly soon, another tweet.
Agreed. I have to get up for a second, Rob. But I'm going to let you talk about the undercard because I'll be honest, I didn't really watch the undercard. At least I would say this: I didn't watch the undercard with like an intent. Like I wasn't sitting there analyzing it. I had it on the background, saw the fight, saw the finishes. But I know you would have a more in-depth take on some of these guys than I will.
Yeah, all right then. Well, I think the shout out to DAZN made the undercard sort of available for everybody to watch. So it opened up with Nikita Rababi. I really like Nikita Rababi. I think he's a real exciting young kid. Moved to 5-0, brutal body shot. The opponent went down, looked in a lot of pain. I think he heard the referee at like 5 or 6, and he kind of wanted to rush to his feet, but he stood up. And the ref counted, I think, one more count, and then was like, "No, I'm going back down." He couldn't take it. So yeah, Nikita Rababi moves to 5-0, 5 knockouts. I really like him. I've watched him since his debut, and he looks like, he's only young, so I'm not quite hype trained. Yes, future world champion, no doubt about it, but he's exciting to watch. That's for sure. I'm trying to remember who was next, but obviously I'll make mention to Madrimov. He looks real fun as well, real fun fighter. Loves letting his hands go. He's got some somewhat sort of strange style. Sometimes he sort of mixes it up, but yeah, I really like him. I think he's now moved to number 6. I think it's in the WBC. Off that, this was only his 3rd fight, and he really. At one point, he launched the left foot. He nearly fell over, going over his, punching over his shots like that. Fell over his front foot, but he lets his hands go. He's really exciting. And then obviously he got the stoppage, and then we had the, sort of cartwheel backflip. But Madrimov, he seems to be moving quickly, and he's telling Eddie Hearn he wants that title shot ASAP.
Isn't it the WBO because he's calling out Munguia?
It might be. Yeah, you might be right. But he also said he wants J-Rock. He wants everyone. Jared Hurd. He's saying bring him, whoever you want. He's fucking adamant. Yeah, pump the brakes maybe, but
how old is he?
Lomachenko didn't want the pumps breaking. I know he's young.
He's young. Damn.
Oh yeah.
He's only 24 years old. Yeah, pump the brakes, man. Like, wow. Yeah, so like take a year or two before you start calling out those guys. Honestly.
Well, Eddie was interviewed and he said, I know, like Kugan sort of said, tell me about it. He said, I'm under so much pressure from their team. They're like, bring me Munguia, bring us J-Rock, bring us Jared Hurd, bring them, bring them to the park.
What's his name that was on the Rungs VI Strata card that fought Emmanuel Taylor? Girov, or what was his name?
Oh, let me quickly look.
But he was another highly touted guy from either Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, one of those countries, right? And he was 7-0, 5-0, and he's fighting Emmanuel fucking Taylor, right? Like Emmanuel Taylor's been a guy that's been around for a long time, maybe a former champion. I don't think so. And Taylor put it on him. And Taylor's not the lead guy. So again, Giasov. I'm not going to try to pronounce it.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. Giasov. And like, again, he looked decent in the fight, but if he had a couple more fights and then fought Manuel Taylor, he probably would have won it in cleaner fashion. There were certain guys here where, hey, I understand there's talent there. Slow your roll. Look at Lomachenko. Look what happened to him. Like, are people forgetting that? Like, yeah, you can have expedited careers, Inoue, Koji Tanaka, Lomachenko, but some of them don't find success that quick. Some of them lose that first championship fight when it's within 5-6 fights. Shakram Giasov is his name. Thank you, MB, for the first name. Great amateur, but again, Emmanuel Taylor was a bridge too far. You could tell, and I think Madrimov, if he goes and faces any of those guys next, even Munguia, and we all know here that Munguia is not who he says he is, or at least not who he's been promoted as. We know that when Dennis fucking Hogan. Damn, Rob.
I was too busy looking at the card.
You're slipping here, man.
Again.
When you are barely getting like a draw or a win with Dennis Hogan.
What you gonna do, brother?
There are question marks about you. However, Madrimov, in my opinion, I think that would be a little bit of a bridge too far with Munguia, just because Munguia is battle tested in a way that Madrimov isn't. But again, really good prospect that I can't wait to see more of. Slowly roll though.
For sure, for sure. Just so you know, Matt, I touched on Nikita Ababi's win. The body shot was disgusting. But who else? Charles Cornwell against Courtney Pennington. It was a pretty good, pretty fun fight. A little bit, I think Cornwell did well first half of the fight, and Pennington came into it in the second half of the fight. It was a pretty decent, fun fight to watch. I always struggle with his name, but Sabello, I can't never say it, but he looked good. He looked real good. I liked that fight against Iyubov. He was very game opponent. It was his first loss. It was 8-0 versus a 14-0 at the time, or 13-0, whatever. And it was a real fun fight. But Sabello, he got about his boxing again, under quite some sort of onslaught. He really came at him, and he boxed really well. And then Akhmedov, I thought the stoppage was.
Damn, you're gonna talk about every fight, really?
Yeah, quickly. Just looked like sort of back of the head, and on the way he was trying to actually drive the back of his head, so his face went through the canvas. But he looks a bit of a beast on the co-main event. But I don't mind. I know the card kind of went a little bit, unnoticed, or people weren't that bothered about it. But like I said, I've been high on Ababi, obviously Madrimov as well, off his previous knockout. That was brutal as well. So I was keen to watch it. And like I say, shout out to DAZN, made it available on the YouTube channel. Very quickly, for any UK fans that were like, why didn't we get this card in the UK? Eddie Hearn done an interview, I think it's with Fight Hype. Shout out to Ron. It might have been with Ron. He said, or was it maybe Coogan? Anyway, I'm sure he's told everybody because it's kind of the same interviews. But
dude, now that Ron's on Fight Hype, I have to watch their interviews more because I like Ron's interviews.
Yeah, he does a good job. Yeah. Shout out. But he was saying DAZN took this opportunity off the back of what was apparently recorded through the Joshua fight, that they were going to keep this purely to all the DAZN territories and not do any international rights as such, to see how illegal streams were coming into play, as far as kind of gathering data and analytics or something like that. I don't know. That was kind of the reason he gave for that.
That's such a stupid reason, though.
All right,
because no, I'm not saying Eddie is bullshitting, because it was Eddie, right? That was interviewing.
Eddie said that, yeah. That was.
I'm just saying maybe Eddie doesn't know what he's talking about. There's things that I start talking about technology and I don't know what I'm talking about, but I know certain things and words. I make it sound like I know what I'm talking about, but I'm bullshitting. That's what it sort of sounds like to me, because if you're trying to test out, illegal streaming and where that's coming from, why would you purposefully shut off markets to then ramp up illegal streaming in specific markets? You know what I mean? If you're trying to test out, let's say, where illegal streaming is coming from in the UK or France or the US or wherever, then having it televised or streamed or whatever in that market is the way to test how it's illegally streamed, because then you can see.
If it's just on Sky, then people could just watch it on Sky. But if it wasn't a pay-per-view, so I think they're trying to say seeing where people can take.
But it wasn't on Sky at all.
Yeah, I know. So they're saying, how did people in the UK are getting illegal streams for content that they can't get?
But they're doing that by forcing illegal streams, though. Do you understand my point? They're not doing that as a byproduct of just televising a card and then seeing where illegal streams are coming from. They are literally forcing fans and consumers to illegally stream and then trying to catch those fans illegally streaming. That's what their reasoning is as to why the Triple G fight was not telecast in the UK, that's a really bad reasoning, in my opinion. That's a really nefarious reason, in my opinion, to try to test that, and also just doesn't make sense.
You love that word.
It just it is you're forcing consumers to illegally stream to try to catch them. That just is bullshit. That's not good faith business at all, in my opinion. Not at all. So I really hope Eddie was just either didn't know what he was talking about and just misspoke, or that's just not true. Because otherwise, that just doesn't make sense, and I have some questions to DAZN.
Okay. I don't really have a thought process on it, to be honest. That's just passing on the knowledge to the UK fans who are wondering why.
So, UK fans, why you guys weren't able to get the Triple G fights? Because DAZN wanted to test how you guys were illegally streaming. Cool. They wanted to try to catch you.
All right.
Ooh. Fuck out of here, DAZN. That's some bullshit.
Okay. Anyway, what do you want to talk about now? Because that's kind of the card.
Brief mention of the purses.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was just a brief mention of it and then a brief point about it. By way of Dan Rayfield, purses for Triple G Rules card. Gennady Golovkin's purse is listed as a laughable, this is his words exactly, $2 million. He's getting closer to $15 million. Steve Rolls, $300,000. And then the rest of the card. I want to make a quick point of that $2 million and then the disparity with the $15 million. So for all of the Matchroom / PBC zealots out there that talk about how can Wilder or any fighter make a lot more beside their disclosed purse, please ask the same to DAZN, Triple G Promotions, Tom Lawfer, K2, everyone involved there, because that happens everywhere. So just wanted to make that a quick note that I've noticed that a lot, especially when we had the Wilder fight recently, that everyone's saying how can Wilder make all this money on the side? How can Triple G make all this money on the side? Especially when DAZN is not using international rights fees, apparently.
I don't know. I'm just saying. Just again, don't worry about it, Matt.
I am worried about that. That's weird. That's really weird.
Like leaving a pile of money out and hiding behind the couch, seeing who comes by and takes the money, and you know who the thieves are.
Well, no. Never mind. That's just that is really shady business practice. If that's the reason why, that's all I'll say. But back to the purses, unless you have.
No, I'm sure. We use it when we use it. We bring up, he's making $2 million, and then but it's a lot more than that. But Wilder did only pay Ortiz $500,000, which makes the $7 million look more. Great, use it when we use it.
Those two things have nothing to do with each other. But anyways, digressing. Moving on. Brief mention of the Oscar Valdez card. Oscar Valdez won. Cool. Michael Steels won. Gable Flores won. That's about it. That's about my breakdown for the card, guys. You know why? I didn't watch mainly any of it. I watched a couple rounds of the Oscar Valdez fight. Saw that he's basically fighting the same exact fight as always. Minor improvements, but they're very minor, and they're not consistent. And he's talking about moving up and facing, Burchell, etc. I don't know. Or facing Carl Frampton, which I might lose a bet to with Rob. I feel like I'm so harsh on Oscar Valdez. I'll just take a back seat and let you talk about this, Rob.
I haven't seen it, but yeah, didn't he say in the ring that he's moving up? But then Bob Arum does Frampton next for Valdez if he gets through his fight in, I think it was August, September or something. So I don't know. I don't even know what's going on. But Valdez
mentioned that he's talking to doctors and he thinks he's getting tired in fights because of the weight cut. And look, if that's true, then obviously move it to 130. If you're feeling any sort of adverse effects and you think it's due to a weight cut, if you're a fighter, just move up. This isn't an issue that really needs to be discussed. Just move up. It's not a big deal. However, let's be honest. I don't think Oscar Valdez beats anyone that's put in front of him right now. That's a top name. Carl Frampton, Miguel Burchell, Shakur Stevenson, anyone of note, I think beats him. Anyone. Right, Rob? Like, do we pick anyone to really lose to Valdez? Like, who does Valdez beat that's a top name at this point in time?
Yeah.
Like, yes, he's beating the Jason Sanchez's of the world, who's a 14-0 prospect that hasn't done anything, and he won basically every round, and knocked him down in a round or two, but it still isn't enough for me to go, yep, I see enough in this guy to make me think he can beat Frampton, Warrington, Russell, Leo Santa Cruz, Stevenson, move up, fight Miguel Burchell, Tevin Farmer, whoever. I just don't see it. And maybe that's, again, being super critical, so that's why I'm trying to take a back step. But again, you didn't watch the fight. I only watched a few rounds of it, so.
Yeah, I saw the Michael Seals knockout on Twitter. That kind of looked a little bit back of the headish, but again, the ref was counting, but the guy was absolutely like fucking didn't look alive at one point. His neck was hanging through the second rope. There was no movement going on, and the ref was like 7, 8. I'm like, just get his mouthpiece out, will you, and just check he's all right. But yeah, no, I didn't see this card. I'm afraid. I'll try and catch up with it just to, keep my the library up to date. But yeah, if it looks like, according to Bob, it will be Frampton for Valdez. So plus Middy's super chat. Yeah, I'm doing good today.
Yeah. Yeah, really upsetting. Moving on. Remember, guys, call in 323-870-4051. Press 1 to get in the queue. International callers, call in on Skype. Add us Mixed Combat Radio on Skype. Gary in the chat saying Keith Thurman is to Gary as Oscar Valdez is to Matt Hunter. That's actually probably the best point Gary has ever made on this show.
Yeah.
Moving on, since Rob obviously has no take on that.
Thanks for coming anyway, Gary. You're a little bit late, I see today.
That was good, Rob. That was good. Hold on, let me air horns for Rob here because he's been waiting to get that one off.
Yeah, Coach Middy, you're right. Prayers out for Zab Judah.
I did have a topic point for that, but yes,
Okay,
it doesn't. We can talk about it right now. Yes, Zab Judah is. There is some conflicting reports about Zab Judah's health. One was that he did go into a coma and he's now out of it and he's doing well. Another is that he never went into a coma, but he did feel nauseous and they did believe there was brain damage or brain bleeding and they rushed to the hospital. I don't know which is true, but obviously he did go to the hospital. Obviously he is under some I forget the exact term, but like extreme care, basic intensive care.
Stuff like that.
Yes, for brain bleed. Whether or not he was in a coma is yet to be fully confirmed, but prayers out to Zab Judah, who just got TKO lost with Cletus Selden this weekend, which explains why he had to go to the hospital. Old fighters, please retire, man. Like, again, this is sort of connected to the first topic of this show, Triple G. I don't like seeing old guys fight. I don't. I've never have, never will. It's never appealing to me. When your time in the sun is over, accept that, move on. The fans will still love you.
I believe like the more credible people that maybe have contacts, they're suggesting that he wasn't actually in a coma, and stuff like that. So, and I believe Spencer Fearon has spoken to, I think he's like his brother or something, and
they said coma, so that's why it's going back and forth.
Right, okay, but yeah, it seems to be like the main writers in the sport are saying he wasn't actually in a coma, but he's I think up, talking to people, eating food, and he's looking like it's perhaps fingers crossed and obviously thoughts, but like he's maybe on the mend and things are going to maybe be all right. So yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed, man. That's always scary. always scary in this game, especially with how many like really high profile cases we've had recently. Moving on to a happier, more lighthearted topic. AJ trying to rebound from that devastating loss. Eddie Hearn saying via Fight Hub that Anthony Joshua wants the rematch back at MSG in New York. He wants to right the wrong, but Eddie obviously wants it in the UK. Rob, your thoughts on this? Because I've been of the mindset that DAZN wants it in the US. If DAZN and AJ want it in the US, and they stick to that, do we get the rematch in the US?
I think so. I think the final decision is with AJ. I really hope boxing Twitter can get past the fact that Andy Ruiz, despite being the champion, isn't getting any kind of a say in this. Whether he should, that's obviously another point. But this contract is kind of done. And this, I want 50 million, or he deserves this. He may well do. But according to Teddy Atlas, however his sources are, it's around $10 million for the rematch.
Look, boxing Twitter, relax, boxing Twitter. Like, we get it. Like, PBC stands have to stand. I get it. Just like Matchroom stands have to stand at times. Like, I get it. But come on, like, this is not the hill to die on. There are far better hills to die on. Like, when I saw what's his name, I'm not going to say his name actually because A, I actually don't know his name. B, I have him muted, and C, he doesn't deserve any platforming at all.
D, that doesn't help me figure out who you're talking about.
I'm sorry. I think his name starts with a J. Anyways, digressing. I don't know.
I do. I know
now. But he like quote tweeted and somebody retweeted it, so that's how I round up on my timeline. But anyways, digressing. Chris Mannix came out and said, "Look, guys, like the contract's already like was done. The rematch clause was signed, sealed, delivered, sort of thing. The only thing that's really up to determination was the location." And he comes out here like, "Oh, the Eddie Hearn mouthpiece out here defending him." I'm like, "What are you talking about? Like what? Like
understand how it works."
Like, first off, like whether or not you think Chris Mannix has a bias towards DAZN doesn't really matter. He probably does. He works for them. He gets a paycheck from DAZN. Like, if I get a paycheck from a company, guys, I'm going to have a bias towards that company. That's just how it works everywhere.
I mean, I personally would prefer, if that was my employee, to have a little bit more of a bias. I think he is kind of, he does lean that way, but I think he is quite fair, in my opinion. He does kind of, like when there's been fights that he hasn't been, it's like he says.
His last podcast was bad. I'll put it this way: his last podcast was bad. I will give that some credence. Like he had like zero mention. Like he gave Bob Arum more credit for Andy Ruiz than Heyman, and like that just didn't make sense to me. Because I like in 2019, like that doesn't like Arum. Like why does Arum get any credit for Andy Ruiz when the entire run up to the fight he was calling Andy Ruiz a fat guy that's gonna get knocked out?
Yeah.
Like stop. However, to digress from that point. Like, Chris Mannix probably has a bias towards his own, obviously. But that point is completely exclusive from him stating the obvious fact. Contract is signed, sealed, delivered. So, again, PBC stands, relax. This is not the hill to die on, guys. It's not the hill. If you want to make a arbitrary argument for the next 3 days on boxing Twitter, PBC stands, make one about how the double standards of purses and how people freak out about Wilder getting paid a lot more than his guarantee, and nobody cared about Triple G getting paid a lot more. Like, that's an arbitrary one you can make a bitch fit about for the next 3 days. Go for that. Okay? Don't do it with a signed, sealed contract that you don't like.
but yeah, back to the like that Joshua says, want to do it in MSG,
yes.
Put everything right. I mean, ballsy move. He'd be quite within his rights to say, look, I came over here, gave you your shot. You've done that. Fair enough. You beat me. You were the better man. but the rematch is on, and you're coming to my turf now. Whatever. Whether people had a pussy running tail between his legs back to the UK for the fight, whatever. Who cares?
I saw. I didn't see the actual interview. I'm sorry to cut you off. But I saw a transcript of it from a different article, and Eddie said something to the effect of "Oh, that's cute." Like he literally said that. Like AJ wants to fight in MSG. Like he wants to right the wrong. I'm like, that's cute, AJ. Like we're gonna look at our options. Is like what Eddie said, and I'm like, yes, that's hilarious.
Promoter, whoa.
No.
Let's get back to the hospital and get that checked out because he's still talking nonsense.
I think AJ might stick to this because we are a couple days out now, and it seems like this is now this story is not being refuted, and also AJ, everything that we've seen from him in terms of his own video on his own YouTube channel and his IG stories has been, to me, a guy that wants to sort of run it back. No, let's run it right back. Same place, same date, whatever, same everything. I will beat you. I want everything to be the same. He kind of seems like that guy to me. And again, I think DAZN's leverage here, guys, is something that cannot be understated. I understand that Eddie, Sky, and probably all of the Matchroom company and all of UK wants one thing.
Mm-hmm.
But DAZN seems like in this weird time to have more leverage than them. And that's not normal. And I know UK is not used to that. But I think at this point in time in this specific situation, DAZN has more leverage than Sky, the UK fan base, and maybe even Eddie Hearn and Matchroom.
I mean, look, this rematch, as much as we can maybe think of Canelo Triple G3, this rematch is potentially, I think, maybe the biggest fight of the year.
Yes, it is.
Because of what Andy Ruiz has become now in America.
Absolutely.
Like the huge growth in his social media, the fake Photoshop Snickers advert.
Imagine if they put this in Dallas. I know they wouldn't, but it could outsell Mikey Spence. And I'm not saying it does 100,000, but I'm saying it could do 50, 60. You could Andy Ruiz could pull from the Mexican market, Mexican American market, and we know, I think, with this fight now that you might have that Ricky Hatton effect with AJ, where everyone from the UK is going to travel for this one because, like you say, it's his potentially career-defining fight in some ways.
Yeah, I mean, Eddie, if he loses again, it's not career over, but it's a long way back. He's 23 fights in.
This fight means more than all of his other fights combined, including the Klitschko fight. It
does.
For
sure. This is a real this is, you hear it all bandied about. Certain people tweet, and it's they speak sort of romantically about the sport, but it's kind of true that this, it's how you bounce back. It's revenge, turning over a loss, getting that revenge. That's what made the greats great. Look, like you say, we've done the list. The greats that have all lost, and they're held in such high regard amongst the boxing fans and the all-time pound for pound lists and things like that. They've all got losses. It's how you bounce back. It's righting the wrongs. It's all that. So to me, the story is there. Like I said, I wouldn't mind if it's in MSG because it's kind of that's even more to the story, going back to where it all went wrong. And to me, I get Eddie's thinking, let's do this in the UK. Let's give you every advantage. Matchroom needs those belts back. We need the unified heavyweight champion of the world back on back in the stable. But as a promoter, this fight is huge in America. It's huge. I don't know how many Americans are going to come over for it if it's here. How many Mexicans will travel? I don't know quite how passionate they are. I know we travel abroad to follow certain fighters, and it's a good support. But as far as the other way around, I don't know. I'm not so sure how many would come. So, but then I guess that's the argument. That's the advantage. You got 80, 90,000 people all rooting for AJ, and that's maybe that extra lift as well that would need. So I don't know. But as far as the size of the fight, it's huge in America, I think.
Yeah, it is obviously a super fight no matter where it's at this point. But I feel like in the U.S., you get this clash of cultures and styles in a way that's more
and it's prime time. That's my thing. It's big here, but it's maybe doesn't quite catch on as much in the US. You know, when it's at 5 in the afternoon or 4 in the afternoon.
You know, there's so much that goes into making a fight feel big, massive, that goes beyond like the X's and O's, the wins and losses, right? Like there's so much that goes beyond it. Like when I was in Vegas for the first Canelo Triple G fight, and there was two rival marching bands, one from Kazakhstan, one from Mexico.
Yeah.
Like that clash of styles coming down to one city, it gave it a vibe and a feel to the fight that you can't describe. Like it elevated the fight to a level that is truly transcending of the medium.
You feel
of
part
the
of
art.
something, like, you're
Yes.
part of something. It's part of history in some way.
Yes.
It's like a moment in
Absolutely.
time. Yeah, I know exactly.
And while I do think it obviously does have that effect in some fashion if it's in the UK, like AJ Ruiz. Obviously it does, because you're going to put it in a massive stadium, most likely, it seems like, no matter the time of the year, even if it's an outdoor, it seems like they're going to go for the full 100,000 if it's in the UK. And while that obviously is going to make a feel and a vibe to the fight, it's going to be isolated to the UK. Mm-hmm. You don't have that clash of cultures, that clash of styles that I think does help to, again, elevate and transcend a fight above the medium, above the art. And again, whether it's in MSG, UK, Mexico, wherever the fight's going to be, it's a super fight, and I can't wait to see it. But you've been sorry.
No, fair.
But I was going to transition to next topic. So
I was just very quickly going to say, because we stay up for fights, right? And Eddie, when asked again, I think this was Ron, but asked how well the Joshua Ruiz done Skybox office in the UK, he said it done around half of what the Povetkin fight did, which is recorded as 1.1 million buys. So this is done around the 500,000 buys at 3 a.m. That's pretty decent, huh?
That's pretty amazing. And like I've said before, like AJ in the US is still going to draw massive pay-per-view numbers in the UK, like well above the market average for pay-per-views in the UK. We need to find that article again that like had all of the UK pay-per-views like from way back in the day. Remember that article?
I've got on
you kind of bookmarked.
No, I've got on boxing pay-per-view fights.
Okay. But you know what article I was talking about, right? Because that one was great. That was fantastic for just a source of information. But since we were talking about righting the wrongs and potential trilogies, let's talk about a confirmed actual trilogy contract, which may be not a first of its kind, because it really isn't just a rematch clause, it seems. But Phil J with the exclusive saying Wilder versus Fury trilogy confirmed. Percentages to alter is the headline. Getting this all from Bob Arum himself. No anonymous sources, so that is a little bit more helpful. And most of it, I'm not going to read into detail, but I will read this part because it's funny. Sorry, guys. Sorry, AJ fans, too. Phil J. writing, Arum's confirmation effectively rules out any chance of Fury facing British rival Anthony Joshua in the near future. Skeptical the all-UK battle would sell in the United States. Will Fury is now set to build himself. Arum says Joshua's name is tarnished. Direct quote from Arum right now. Anthony Joshua has no reputation in America. He got knocked out by Andy Ruiz. That says it all. If you put Joshua in with Wilder or Fury in the United States, it wouldn't sell at all. Nobody knew Joshua before. I mean, the Zone, for all the money they paid him, they got very few new subscribers from the fight. Who the fuck is going to pay to see that fight? Direct quote from Bob Arum. But digressing from that, because again, I just wanted to read that because I thought it was funny. I don't think it has any substance to it. I think it's just Bob Arum being Bob Arum, guys. But again, funny. And also, King of Petty, man, Bob Arum and Oscar, man, they're just so good at it.
Be good. Let's see a little bit of Bob and Arum going at it. 87-year-old Bob Arum, ladies and gentlemen.
Amazing. But digressing, it seems like the rematch is in effect, and on top of that, a rematch clause is also on the table. And with depending who wins, obviously the fight, they get the higher percentage in the trilogy fight. Rob, your thoughts on Bob Arum coming out and confirming the rematch in sort of the early 2020-ish time frame. And on top of that, another fight for Wilder Fury that's apparently within the contract. Good thing, bad thing, neutral. Your thoughts on all of it?
I mean, look, it's I believe the winner gets the bigger percentage in the second fight, so that suggests 50-50 for the rematch. So that's good. Big fight made 50-50. I wonder if one's going to be on ESPN and one's going to be on Showtime, or if it's both going to be a dual thing, which then obviously opens up the window for Spence and Crawford, although we're hearing Spence still hasn't signed to fight Sean Porter yet, so who knows. But yeah,
I will add briefly to your point about pay-per-view and splitting the networks. I would assume this next fight, the second fight, would be a split network pay-per-view, and maybe along with the percentages being altered, the winner sort of gets the right to the fight. Yeah. I'm not saying that's a guarantee, but that's an assumption I have.
I mean, look, if the rematch is done, surely there's like rematch clause anyway. If say Fury wins it again, wins it, there'll be a rematch for Wilder anyway, no? So that'll be the third fight, and if there's a so-called another one in a contract, is that the fourth fight? And
no, there's not another one in the contract. There's only the second fight is the rematch, and then the trilogy fight is the rematch clause in this new contract.
But I'm just saying.
I'm just saying, just for people that may have got confused by what you said. There's no fourth fight on the contract. Just want to make that perfectly clear.
Oh, okay.
And Bob Arum actually made it perfectly clear he doesn't want that. Like, he says fights should not go for a fourth fight. Probably getting some Manny Pacquiao, nightmares there when anytime PTSD, anytime anyone mentions a fourth fight. But he says, where can I find it? Because he says, if Wilder and Fury each win one in the second and third, Arum was quizzed as to whether there could even be a fourth fight. He answered, "We've had great trilogies in the past. Ali versus Frazier, Ali and Norton. They were all trilogies, not 4 fights." So I think the Pacquiao PTSD was ramping up there.
Yeah. But like I say, if say Fury wins the second fight, the rematch, there would have been a rematch clause anyway, right? If it was just one fight made,
not necessarily.
Well, that would have been poor on Finkel's part then, right? To not have a rematch clause in his champion's contract. I don't know, but anyway, I think we were going to get 3 anyway. If Fury was to win, but we've got other news regarding what happens with those 2 fights, with the Dillian White stuff, but which could potentially come in between it or whatever
happen. Let's get to that right now. By way of IFL TV, Eddie Hearn has said that the reportedly agreed Deontay Wilder Tyson Fury trilogy is not allowed. Quotes. The promoter said there would be a legal position for Dillian White to contest these plans, with his bout against Oscar Rivas set to be the mandatory spot. Look here, Eddie. Good luck, man. I will say this for anyone out there that's willing to challenge the sanctioning bodies in any way. Good luck. Have fun with that. I don't think you're going to win. Sorry. And if you're Dillian White here, like, at some point, why are you still trying to get Wilder? Like, AJ's unstable. Like, how has there not been a full 180 for him and his brand and his team to start talking about AJ more and ramping up the rematch? You know what I mean? Like, it just feels a little bit short-sighted in some ways for White to ignore the mega rematch that obviously is not next, because obviously Reese is next for AJ. But let's be honest, even then, I think a AJ White rematch is far more likely to happen next, or not next, I should say, sooner than White versus a Wilder Fury winner. And on top of that, look, I really don't believe Eddie's lawsuit here or Dylan White's lawsuit here against the WBC is going to be effective here. I don't think they will win. And on top of that, it's going to take a very long time for this lawsuit to do anything. So I just have zero faith in this at all. I think it's a scare tactic to try to scare the WBC in some fashion, but the WBC doesn't really blink for a lot of people unless they are the moneymakers. And Dylan White is not the moneymaker for them in their eyes.
No, I hear you. It's just the same argument. You know, Dillian White's been number one for nearly 600 days now. This is going to be for eliminator and the mandatory spot, and they're saying we want it called, you know. But yeah, where it goes via a legal battle, I don't know. That seems like a long drawn out process. But to be fair, Dillian White's like, get me that WBO mandatory spot. He's number one with the WBO anyway. I know Usyk can say, you know, click the fingers and take that away. But I mean, Dillian White, providing he at some point get called, he's getting a title shot sooner rather than later. So I think, but I don't think it's going to be the WBC maybe, but we'll have to wait and see how that pans out. But this is for the mandatory fight, the White and Rivas. So it is for that mandatory spot. So that's something at least. Now all you got to do is just wait for the WBC to call it.
Speaking of calling it, WBO calling the new scheduled purse bid with Sergey Kovalev, Anthony Yard. Guys, get hyped for that fight that's never going to happen. So next Tuesday, June 11th, is the purse bid, the scheduled one. Let's see what happens there. Rob, I really have no further takes on that because, let's be honest, the fight's not happening.
It's all very strange because a little while back we were waiting for the official announcement for this, and then Tunde Ajayi, Yard's manager, trainer,
hype man.
So going forward, anyone who signs to fight Anthony Yard needs to sign up for 12-week VADA testing, this, that, and the other. People are like, oh, wait, why is he saying that now? Is Kovalev saying he's not doing VADA testing or for that length of time? What's this about? And then it just kept dragging on. You know, we're hearing, oh, Yard's getting 4.2 million. Holy shit, they called it. Yeah, we'll go to Russia for 4.2 million and a title shot, no problem. But Frank Warren done an interview recently. He suggested that everything's signed. And then he kind of alluded to, well, Anthony signed up to VADA. And people were like, oh, what, you're saying Kovalev? And then he's like, oh, I can't really talk on it. Blah, blah, blah. And then he also said they haven't sent the paperwork for like Yard to even enter the country to go and fight there. We're still waiting on that. And, you know, that can take some time. And its rumored date is like 2 weeks away for the fight was like June 29th or something like that. Then Kovalev came out with he was going to be taking his bout into a World Boxing Super Series, but that had cold water poured all on it. I think Cafe Diva was like, I don't know where this has come from, but the reports were that your fighter said it. So that's where that kind of supposedly came from. But this is all very strange. But a purse bid's been ordered. And I think Frank Warren also sort of suggested if the fight goes ahead, it won't be happening in Russia. So whether and you think this is kind of easily something that can be done because it's that whole Top Rank, ESPN,
BT, Frank Warren conglomerate.
Basically the same fucking promotion company now.
It's you gotta remember a guy like Sergey Kovalev has like a co-promotional deal with Top Rank, right? Like he is not solely signed with them. I'll sign with Kathy Duva, and let alone what Russian oligarchs are behind Sergey Kovalev. Because what's his name? I had it right here. Oh shit, I might have deleted it. Hold on. Damn, did I delete it? No, I don't have the name for the Russian organizers. but they were supposed to organize this, and they never announced it. Like they just went dark all of a sudden.
People said that they ain't got the money. I'm like, what? Some Russian oligarchs haven't got the money?
No, they have the money. They just don't want to spend it on things that maybe are above board and legal. You know, maybe because it's some other sort of money that's tied to other things, and they need to.
They're in the chat right now. There's a little dollar sign just at the bottom there on this.
Oh, do you guys need more spokespeople for you? We can be that. Don't worry about that. Just be paid off easily. Doesn't take much. Also add that. Last piece of news. Eddie Hearn has revealed that Tevin Farmer will defend his IBF super featherweight title against mandatory Guillaume Fenoy on the Ramirez Hooker card, which by the way got announced and is official. They had a press conference for that. They really expedited that shit, which I gotta say, shocked by that. For July 27th, which is why they expedited it. Also, Murat Gassiev on that card, reportedly facing Joey DeWalco. Like that.
Joshua Slayer.
Overall, decent card. I mean, you got Ramirez Hooker on the main event. That's all I need. Let's be honest. You could put dog shit literally in the ring for 10 hours before that main event, and I will sit there and be like, "Yep, waiting."
I thought you were going to say Dog Bay then. I was like, he's with ESPN, Matt. Come on.
R.I.P. Dog Bay.
Shout out to ESPN. I mean, Top Rank and Matchroom getting this one done. You know, getting it across the line.
Yeah.
And good for the zone getting it on there. But I'm sure they'll be working together. But you know, obviously, maybe they didn't want purse bids for Lomachenko and Campbell. And it's kind of, you've had a couple of fights off me. Now we want one, you know, because obviously Hooker went over there, even though that was a purse bid, but Hooker went over to ESPN. We've had Loma and Crawler on ESPN. Now Eddie's like, come on, let's have one back on our side. And kind of surprised because Ramirez is like a bit of a ticket draw, right? He's a good seller.
Yeah, especially in Fresno, like his hometown.
Yeah. So this is going to be the zone card, you know, like Eddie Hearn promoted, and you know, but yeah, good to hear two networks and two companies getting some fights on. But yeah, good. Looks like it could shape up to be a good card. I know people may not be thrilled about the Farmer mandatory, but he's the guy. Him and who did Farmer fight? John O'Carroll. Him and Frenoir fought for the mandatory spot, and it was a draw. And then the fight got made with John O'Carroll first, but Frenoir's, I think, fought since, and he's now the.
I need a better soundbite for like who cares, because that's really what I want to say. Is like who cares. That one's more like that sucks. It doesn't really suck. Just like who cares. Like yeah, John O'Carroll got.
All's your pair of bums.
Not really. What? Something a little bit less harsh.
Not balls. You don't want balls.
What made you make that decision?
Well, he indicated to me that he was hitting the testicles.
Testicles better than balls.
That will always be good, especially with like Virgil Hunter's delivery. That's iconic. Like it just, you can tell that's Virgil Hunter like instantly.
He told me he hit him in the testicles.
Work on that. You need to shop. You need to shop that around a little bit.
Was it Virgil Hunter that done all the like? I was listening the other day. It was all like great clips from Cornerman and stuff, and he's like whispering,
"You got this, champ.
Bring it home. Just bring it home."
And he's like rubbing their chest, like, "You got this.
You got this.
It's okay."
Home.
But
get your hand off my chest. Quit fucking whispering in my ear, and let me go and punch something.
Let's go to our callers now. 323-870-4051. International callers. Skype Mixed Combat Radio going out to Dallas. Gary, what up?
Hello?
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 Yeah. So I had my phone on speaker and I heard you going to me and I had to run to it. You can hear me okay?
Yeah. A little out of breath. Was it like a 5-yard run, was it? Or
what?
It doesn't matter. Yeah, what's going on, Gary?
That was a trans performance Triple G looked like trash, and it was a trash card. If anyone thinks Triple G has any chance against Canelo, that fight should even be made, then they should have no involvement in boxing. Triple G looked awful, and Canelo just came off probably the best performance of his career. If that fight gets made, Triple G is going to get annihilated. Anyone disagree with that?
You think Canelo stops him?
I think he stops him quick. Yeah. Steve
really?
Rolls was putting hands on him. I don't want to say quick. Triple G's a tough guy. 6 rounds, something like that.
Wow. All right.
Did he look good to you?
You think his chin's gone?
I just think it's going to be too many shots. He eats too much. I mean, he's still going to be a tough guy, but Steve Rolls putting hands on you and Canelo hitting you is going to be 2 different things.
Did he really put hands on him?
What was that?
I said, did he really put hands on him though? Really?
I mean, he was never in serious trouble, but that's Steve Rolls we're talking about. Yeah, I thought he hit him with a bunch of clean shots.
Yeah, I hear you, but that was, to me, Triple G, you can do what you want, mate. I'm going to land one big time on you and get the highlight knockout reel. You can do what you like, in my opinion. But Matt's back now. Matt, Gary said Triple G was trash. The whole card was trash. And anyone who thinks that Canelo Triple G 3...
Yo, Canelo's knocking out Triple G in the trilogy fight. I'm going on the limb right now and saying it.
Gary said he does it early, inside 6.
6? I'm not gonna go that far. I'm not going that's harsh. I'm gonna go maybe within 10. But I think Canelo's just, you can tell times have passed. You can tell Triple G's just an old fighter now, and he hasn't adapted his game.
That's what I said. I said Triple G had a terrible performance, and Canelo just had the best performance of his career. And to put them in now, I mean, it's just 2 trains going in the opposite direction. Canelo's peaking, and Triple G is shot. I mean, there's 8 or 9 years difference in age. I mean, Triple G's best days are over with.
It's 8 years. I wouldn't say shot. I want to say Triple G shot. I can still see Triple G beating some top guys.
Okay, let's play that game again. Will Triple G ever hold a world title again? In any 160 or 160 or whatever? Let's
say, Gary, that his next fight in September is not Canelo. Let's say it's Demetrius Andrade. Who are you picking?
You know who I pick in that fight.
You picking Andrade, really?
Yeah, that's the fight I'm thinking they're gonna make, because I can't see. Is Triple G really gonna fight again in September? That's only 3 months away.
If it's not Canelo, I can see them making the Andrade fight for the fall. That's what it probably will be.
November, yeah.
Yeah, and then Canelo will still fight in September against whoever. Doesn't matter.
Because I was thinking the Triple G fight, they would want to get Triple G a title first, meaning he would have to fight on Andrade, and then have him fight Canelo on Cinco de Mayo of next year. I thought that, but then they were talking about making it next. Maybe they should make it next, because Triple G's going to lose. If he fights a top 10 middleweight, he's going to lose.
Jamal Charlo, you think he loses?
No. You know I'm gonna pick Jamal Charlo.
Why?
Yeah, I think they all beat him.
He's from Texas.
Yeah, he's from Texas. I know, because Gary's biased. But you don't think the Jamal Charlo that put on the performance against Matt Korobov can lose to Triple G?
That's a stylistic thing. Nobody looks good against Korobov.
Some people do.
That was not Jamal Charlo's best performance for sure, right? But Triple G's not gonna bounce off the back foot out of a southpaw stance and give him weird angles and stuff. That's a completely different fight. I think Triple G walks into the power of Jamal Charlo.
Okay. Right, Gary.
Steve Rolls just put hands on him. Do you know what Canelo would do to him, or what Charlo would do to him? You can't take shots from that like that. From elite level punchers like Charlo and Canelo.
Does Triple G beat Selecki?
He beats Selecki.
Okay, that's one top 10 in the bag.
That's one top 10 in the bag.
Okay, Derevchenko. Does Triple G beat Derevchenko?
Yes.
probably.
Yes,
probably
come
beat
on.
Derevchenko.
Derevchenko is not that good, guys.
That's two
No,
top
he's
10s
top
in the
Triple
bag.
G shot. Wait, how many guys do you have in the top 10 of your 10 middleweight? Do you have both those guys in the top 10?
I think Rob's on box rec.
I am, yeah. I'm doing the box rec.
Oh,
We
so
can't count Rob
you're
Grant.
not gonna have like Billy Joe Saunders in there, right? Because Billy Joe Saunders would be at 168.
Yeah, he's not in there right now.
Really?
Right.
That's shocking, actually. Usually they fuck up on that.
Well, they have him at 60.
Yeah.
They have him at 68.
I didn't know.
Rob Grant.
Oh, they still have Jeff. They still have Jeff Horn in the middleweight rankings. See, that's why. That's why, Gary. I'm like, Billy Joe could still be in the top 10 for sure. Fuck, man.
Does Triple G beat Rob Grant?
That's a tough fight.
That's a tough fight.
Answer me, Daniel.
I might say yes. At this point, yes. If the fight is next, yes.
Okay.
If it's 2 years on the line, no.
Come on, Gary.
I'm probably with Matt. He probably beats him, but I'm not sure on that.
So that's every name so far that Triple G still beats in the top 10. Demetrius Andrade, we've already mentioned that one. Matt, what did you pick?
I said Triple G beats Andrade.
Okay.
If they fight next.
David Lemieux, even though he's probably...
Triple G. Triple G beat David Lemieux. Come on.
Against Lemieux? Who makes this? Is the worst top 10 list I've ever heard in my life. But continue.
Hold on. Gary, I hope you know that I'm about to ask you what your top 10 is in a second. And you should be thinking about that.
Jeff Horn. Does Triple G beat Jacobs if Jacobs stays?
Nah, I think Jacobs wins.
So everyone apart from Canelo and Danny Jacobs, Triple G beats.
Or arguably beats, yeah.
Yeah, we just arguably decided amongst this.
Yeah. So Gary, I want to hear your top 10 middleweights now. This
I want to hear you say sorry to
Can
Triple
you
G.
talk to Rob for I'm making a list right now. Talk to Rob about this for like 2 more
Talk
minutes.
to Rob about this
I'm
for
already
2 more minutes. Look at him giving us producing notes. I like it, Gary.
So how you been, Matt? All good?
But Gary, I think you do have to sort of walk back the idea that he shot. Like, you can't, if you're picking to beat top 10 guys, or at least top 15 guys in the weight division, arguably, you can't be shot. You can maybe pass your prime. That's, I think, irrefutable.
Yeah, that's probably a better word, right? Like,
yeah.
I think, like, shot.
Yeah,
as if his best days are behind him.
Shot is like what Brandon Rios is right now, or like what Roy Jones was towards the end. Like, that's more of a shot fighter.
Gary, me and you were shot. We're past our prime.
Yeah, you guys definitely are.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm younger than Triple G, which just makes me feel.
Oh dear.
Well, to be fair, Gary, one of you is a super supreme athlete, and the other is not. So that probably explains.
The other one was made 20 consecutive defenses of the middleweight. Oh, you're saying he's the super athlete?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, not you, Gary.
I thought you were comparing me and Gary. One's a supreme athlete.
And hold on, Gary, don't bring up that 20 title defense bullshit. 13 of those are the WBA regular. And also, that reminds me, because it's boxing banter, sort of, so I can kind of rant about shit. The DAZN advertisement or commercial of Triple G being the longest reigning unified champion in boxing history is just so factually wrong that whoever greenlit that should be instantly fired. Instantly fired. Whoever's in their boxing department that was like, yep, great ad for our Triple G fight. Fired. Instant fire. They don't know what they're talking about. They should not be allowed to talk about boxing. Stop. We're not talking about boxing. They should not be allowed to make decisions about advertising for boxing when they are so blatantly wrong in that department. And think about it. They didn't even go middleweight division, Gary. They went boxing. They went the entire fucking sport. Okay? That is so egregious. That made my stomach sick. But Gary, do you have that fucking top 10 list? Or are you still making it, man?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
The first 7 that was easy. It was just the last 3 I had to kind of put in order. All right, ready?
Yeah.
Number 1, Canelo.
Of course.
Number 2, Triple G. I'll still keep G at 2. He hadn't lost. He only lost to Canelo, so I'll put him at 2.
But he shot.
Charlo 3. Jacobs 4. Andrade 5. Billy Joe 6. Sergey Derevchenko 7. Brandt 8. Monroe 9. And Murata 10.
Monroe.
Yeah, he would beat at least half the people on that list.
And look, I mean, that to be fair, like, come on, Rob, like, look at like you're on Boxer right now. Like, look at the number 11 to 20. It's rough. Middleweight has a rough 10 to 20, man. Like, you can have guys like a Willie Monroe slip in there.
I love the Triple G loses to everybody inside the top 10. Yeah, Gary's got him number 2.
Well, I got to put him in him too because he's only lost to Canelo, right? And Canelo's number 1.
Yeah, but Gary, you're also
So
picking to beat most of those guys. You're also picking to beat most of those guys, at least half of them.
About half of them, yeah. Everyone from Andrade up. I would everyone. I mean, below Andrade. I pick everyone to beat everyone below Andrade.
Yeah.
Right. So that's Deverchenko, Rod Brandt, Willie Monroe, and Marotta. I'd pick him to beat all those guys. So, yeah, I went a little nuts, a little crazy when I said he wouldn't be anyone in the top 10. He wouldn't be anyone in the top 6.
Top 5 for sure.
Okay. That's not. And when I said Shot was his best days are behind him, right? Like he's not gonna beat. He's not gonna be competitive with Canelo. I guess he never technically beat Canelo, but he's not gonna be competitive with Canelo again.
You don't think he can like figure out the game and sort of adapt to it, sort of like Pacquiao did, and add some years?
He's not that kind of he doesn't have that kind of crazy athleticism that Pacquiao had. Like I don't know. I mean, he showed against Canelo in the rematch he can box off the back foot, but I don't know if he can be great that way. I mean, it's tough. I mean, the middleweights right now, and if it went to 168, would you take him to beat Callum Smith?
No.
Me either. So, I mean, it's just, if he can't come forward and break people, I don't think he can outbox the other guys. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how. If he was to extend his career and be a top 10 middleweight, yeah, he could probably do that for 4 more years. But that's not really what we want to see out of Triple G.
All right.
I'm glad we talked this through, Gary.
Good talk. Anything else, Gary?
Are you guys trying to put the kibosh on me?
No. I'm just. I didn't know if you. I know if you want to switch topics or still talk about Triple G.
Yeah.
It's kind of like counselling. We talked it through. We got you back on track.
I wanted to expose your anti-Texas bias again.
Me?
When you did not mention the hooker card until the very end, and you only mentioned it because what was the undercard fight that you said was going to be on?
Well, you know why? Do you know why? Do you know why it's not on topic? Because we said it was finalized. We already did a show on that.
I think he was late for that one as well.
I might have been late for that.
Yeah, we already talked about that.
Okay.
We didn't talk about it post the press conference, but when the news came out, the deal was final. Like everything was done. Like the fight is official. I think we even had a date at that point too. Like everything was done. We definitely talked about it. So that's why it wasn't like it wasn't a topic of discussion on today's show. Sorry. But hold on, Gary, how can you say that when I'm also the same guy that went on this same show and said you can literally put dog shit in the ring for 10 hours before that fight? I will sit there and watch the dog shit till that main event starts. You say that I'm biased and hating.
It's a good fight. You can just ignore it, right? I mean, you make yourself look foolish if you said it wasn't a good fight. So then you just ignore it, right? It's not the news that you report; it's the news you choose not to report.
But I did report.
You know
on
what I'm saying?
But see, that's the thing. I did report on it. And think about this, Gary. You can also go back and we talked about that fight on multiple shows
without me having to nudge you in that direction.
Yep. Go back.
Okay.
And on top of it, Gary, you haven't seen it yet because the website's not published yet, but I even wrote an article about the fucking fight. It's not published yet because the website's not published, but the article's there. So when the website gets published, the article is going to be there for you to see. So
Even though it's like Ramirez Hooker finalized ? It's like Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I like how the question marks are like alleged, so we cover our asses.
Yeah, but we know it is now, so you might have to do a little tweak.
Yeah, might have to. But there's a date on it. They know when it was written.
Oh, okay, cool.
Anyways, digressing. Yeah, I love the fight, and I have no bias against Texas fighters, Gary.
We're pointing out that there may be some subconscious bias, especially towards Brandon Figueroa.
No,
and,
you can't say that.
Ortiz.
You can't say that. You know why? Did you watch our top 10 pound for pound video?
I did.
Who did I mention as like the first name that was like a threat to Daniel Roman? Brandon Figueroa. Yep. Funny how that works out, huh?
Who would win, Brandon Figueroa or the Newark, New Jersey kid? Why can't I think of his name? The Olympian.
Greer?
From Jersey.
Joshua Greer?
Shakur Stevenson.
Oh.
Shakur Stevenson.
They're different
Shakur
weight
Stevenson
classes.
and Brandon Figueroa.
They're different weight classes.
But not really. Like, Brandon Figueroa is 122, and he's about to go to 130 in...
Gary, you know how many times you've asked me this question and how many times we've gone down this like verbatim? I pick Shakur, man.
But that's crazy. That's wild.
That's
right?
not
like,
crazy. That's not wild. That's not.
You really like Shakur, though.
I think he's a
You
talented
really like
boxer.
Shakur.
Yes.
And the other one's from Texas. Come on.
Duh.
Yeah, I remember you ranked Shakur Stevenson real high when we were talking like that.
Yeah, on my prospect list.
Right?
I think he could have a 50-50 fight with Warrington right now. Yes. He beats Valdez.
Wow. Okay.
But does he beat Galahad?
Yes. Come on.
He's Valdez. So, like, what fight? Like, when I say Andrade, I think Andrade could beat Triple G and would be a load of trouble for Canelo. He could possibly win that fight. And you say, well, based on what? And I don't really have anything, right? Like, it's just kind of based on my eye test of what gives what gives Canelo problems, right? Like, that's what I would pick him on. So when you say Shakur Stevenson would beat Warrington, based on what?
Based on his style. And on top of that, to differentiate those two examples here, we have both seen Andrade perform numerous times, right, Gary? And we can both probably admit that we've seen him perform numerous times where he's underperformed. And I would almost say that that's almost his reputation, to be an underperformer, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or disinterested. Yeah.
Yeah, disinterested. You can you can switch the word around, but I think we both sort of agree that there's something there, right? He has that reputation, right? And also, Andrade is how old now? What, 30, 29? Like, he's a finished product in a way?
Yeah, 30 or 31. He's not. He's a finished product.
Finished product, right?
Sure, yeah.
Shakur Stevenson's 19, 20 years old. He's a prospect that's literally improving drastically from fight to fight, and we've seen that. We can probably both agree to that. He just dismantled and dominated Christopher Diaz, who was a bigger guy than him in a bigger weight class than him. All signs point that Shakur Stevenson's on a rapid climb up when it comes to talent and ability. And a guy like Warrington, who is a very aggressive and effective boxer, isn't the most diverse when it comes to ability. And a guy like Shakur, when it comes to his angles, his footwork, his length, his overall reach and ability to use that reach effectively, I see him giving Warrington really big problems with the style. And on top of that, his improving, and not only that, exponentially improving ability and technique. So I think there's a far difference between what Andrade and the quote eye test we can view from him, because he's a finished product and he does have a reputation that is known, that we both agree on. And on top of that, Shakur Stevenson is very different from those two things. He's not a finished product. He doesn't have a reputation yet because he hasn't really had a career yet.
Well, but like, there's nothing on his resume.
No.
That would say he can beat Warrington.
Yeah, just like there's nothing on Andrade's resume that can make you say that he can give Canelo issues, beat Triple G.
Right. No, that was what I was saying. Like, sometimes I can't. There's like yeah, when I say Andrade could beat Canelo, that on paper that looks ridiculous, and I understand that. But just stylistically, the guys, the Trouts, the Lawrence, the guys that are giving Canelo trouble. Jacobs, when Jacobs was winning rounds, he was fighting out of the southpaw stance. The guys who gave Canelo trouble were southpaws who could move, and that's what Andrade is. And Andrade's long too, so Andrade could hit him from where Canelo couldn't.
Yeah, but that was the same with Jacobs. We thought Jacobs was going to be able to control the range better with the jab, and he couldn't really at all.
If Canelo would have, if Jacobs would have fought Canelo out of the southpaw stance the whole time, I think he could have won enough rounds, right? Because he won probably 4 rounds, and 3 of those were in the second half out of the southpaw stance. Like, Jacobs is way more accomplished than Andrade too, so that's not even a fair comparison, right? But
yep. Just like Andrade and Shakur aren't a fair comparison.
Their resumes probably actually more. I remember when you said that his best win was Monterosa 5 years ago. I was like, that's not true. And you go back and you look at his resume, like, wow, that is his best win. And really, he's got a win over Brian Rose. That's probably his second.
Andrade got really the short end of the stick with that Billy Joe Saunders situation, because that was the fight to really prove what he was. And on top of that was a really good fight. And that didn't happen. He fought Walter White from Breaking Bad.
Oh, and real quick, you guys, did you watch the Judah versus Cletus Sullivan fight?
I watched some highlights on social media.
Okay.
Yeah. Why?
Yeah, they stopped the fight, and it looked like people thought it was premature. But I guess like the ref saw something. They're saying Judah had a brain bleed.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard it. We talked about it a little bit earlier. Yeah, there's a little bit conflicting reports. Most of the reporting is that he did not go into a coma, but he did go into intensive care and ICU or whatever it is for brain bleeding. There are some reports that he did go into a coma slightly, and now he's out of it. But all signs say that he's talking, he's walking, he's moving around, he's doing fine.
Okay.
But this was a big scare, and hopefully the last time that he fights.
Hopefully, because I watched the fight, right? If you went to Starboxing webpage, they let you watch the undercard, and then if you want to watch like the last couple of bouts, you had to click on the link and pay $20 for it. So I paid $20 to watch Zab Judah versus Cletus Sullivan. So
wow,
I'll never make fun of you again, Rob.
Wow, you paid $20 for that, Gary.
What a idiot! Oh, what a loser!
Wow.
Yeah.
Gary, you know what? Like, props to you, man. What a degenerate hardcore boxing fan you are, man. Props to you. One of a kind.
Holy shit.
You were the one buy they had, man. So props to you.
Somebody else had to have purchased it too, right? Because where did you get that live footage from that you watched on social media? Like, where did you get that from? Someone else. I'm not the only one.
Someone with their phone in the crowd.
No,
I'm joking, I don't think. Crowd footage.
But Judah looked like you could still see the craftiness and the angles. He just couldn't, like, he can't get his body to do what it used to do, and he doesn't know how to, you know what I'm saying? It's like the legs don't do what the brain tells it to do anymore kind of thing. And it was painful. You could see him, like, at the end of the third round where he almost got knocked out, he kind of looked back at Sullivan, like, in disbelief. Is this, like, really happening? Is this, like, am I really getting my ass kicked by Cletus Sullivan?
Mm-hmm.
That was brutal. And the Guardia was talking about him getting a title shot, Sullivan getting a title shot against the winner of Hooker and Ramirez. I don't know if that's real.
I pray to God.
But
I pray to everything that's holy in this universe that does not happen.
Yeah. He seemed like it was like he could get that. I don't know, like if that was just bluster, like if the Guardia was just, talking
you know
up his guys.
You know what fight I want to see for Cletus Sullivan? And I don't know the weight classes, so I might be wrong here. Like maybe they are like too far apart. But Nico Macias. Throw those two with each other.
I think that's just. Oh, Makai's at 140. You could make that fight.
Yeah, right. Or even if he isn't 140, fuck it. Like, throw the two guys that throw 1,000 punches each like round, and that throw elbows on like their opponents with each other, and just have them beat each other up on a undercard of a Golden Boy event on the Zone. Do that.
That's $30 pay-per-view. Hey, Gary.
But like, you would never in your wildest dream really consider Nico Machias, the Rooster, for a world title fight, right? Like, that would not be something you consider realistically.
They definitely talked about him with Talishad at one point. I remember that. He had that big win on, I forget it was HBO or something, and he got a lot of hype for like a few months.
Getting him a title shot. I mean, again, I like watching Seldon, right? Like, Seldon's a fun fighter to watch. But, like, Hooker or Ramirez, like, do you know what they would do to him?
Oh, they body him.
Like, that's, yeah. Yes, I think that's it. That's all I got.
Thank you for the call, Gary. Always appreciate it. Rob? That's going to be it for today, man.
Okay.
Yeah, you head out of here. This has been a free edition of Boxing Banter, live every Sunday, 2 p.m. So next Sunday, maybe not live, but it'll be published 2 p.m. every Sunday. If you want to catch MCR content after or the Sunday after every Saturday fight weekend, gotta go to patreon.com/Mixed Combat Radio. But we'll be back tomorrow with a free show, probably. Have a great day, great night wherever you're listening or watching. I'm Matt the Hipster Hunter. Find me, Matt Hunter, MCR, all platforms. Rob?
Well, yeah, I'm pretty sure if people are watching, they can hear it as well. So thanks to everybody for listening. I think I'm not sure, but I think the super chat button might be broken. I'm not quite sure what's happened there because it worked like once or twice, but I don't know.
Ivan Diaz saying Rob is always thrown off when Matt calls the show. Rob was like, "What? The show's over?" But
I go into a bit of a glaze over kind of thing when Gary calls. It kind of catches me unawares. But no, I'm only messing. Thanks everybody in the chat, obviously, as always. Monetization for the channel, which is great news. We're up and running. Hopefully, we start growing with it, and I've applied for.
Hey, Rob, we've already made 8 cents today, and that was before the show even started.
Oh, you get the out of here.
We made 8 cents today. You know what that means, man? We're up. We're up
plus,
here, man.
Plus Middy's chat. Oh man, I might consider hanging him and giving him my my notice tomorrow. Nothing but the high life from here on in. But yeah, I've applied for credentials for some shows over here. Matt, maybe
I've applied for a bunch recently.
Yeah. You're gonna have some stuff. How far is Texas? Can you get to Hooker Ramirez?
Nope.
Or is that a long way?
Nope. But you know what's perfect is that guess what? We do have a Texas correspondent, which is Fugati. Or you know what, Gary?
Gary, don't give that dude a camera and a microphone, please.
Oh, Gary, if you want to get into one of these shows, I can definitely try to hook it up and get you a free entry, but you have to just do some work for me. But yeah, digressing. Blue White Boxing give that 8 cents to the people. Yes. Throw the 8 pennies out onto the street.
What we could do is put it in a pile and wait and see who steals it, and that way we know who the thieves are. But
I like.
Yeah. So everybody in the chat, thanks for that. It's always good. We'll be back tomorrow, I guess, with some news. But cheers. Catch you on the next one.
Peace.
Oh, super chat. I just wanted to say it. I saw it. Coach Middy. Shout out to you.
Stay off the weed.
OMG. I am so excited.
That's stupid.
Use your common sense.
Hey, pussy, are you still there?